us go on to our study of the paṭisallana Sutta, Iti Vuttaka 45. This is in Sutta Discovery, SD 41.4. Sutta Discovery, Volume 41, Chapter 4. Paṭisallana means solitude. It's a special kind of solitude which we practice so that it helps our meditation. In fact, sometimes we can also use the word paṭisallana to refer to meditation. Sutta, of course, means discourse. No? Iti is Iti Vuttaka. Iti Vuttaka is a collection, a short collection of suttas. It is one of the 15 books in the Khuddaka Nikaya. It is a very interesting collection by a woman. In fact, she's not even a nun. She was a hunchback servant of Queen Samawati. So every day she goes to listen to the Buddha's teaching. She goes back to the palace and relay the teaching to Samawati and the 500 maidservants. So this teaching has come down to us. A very unique set of teaching called Thus Heard, Iti Vuttaka. Iti means thus, Vuttaka, thus spoken. Vuttaka means spoken. Thus spoken by the Buddha. The theme here is solitude in the sense of keeping to ourselves in preparation for meditation. One of the important themes in early Buddhism is the idea of aloneness, not loneliness, but aloneness. In other words, we choose to be by ourselves, just like the Buddha sitting all alone under the Bodhi tree. In fact, you often see a picture of the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree, meditating all by himself. This is a very important symbolism in Buddhism. This is the Buddha image, the Buddha picture, the Buddha sitting all alone happily by himself, very radiant and bright. It is a reminder of self-effort, that we can help ourselves, we must help ourselves. That's the best way of ending suffering. If we want to help others, we must begin by helping ourselves first. And when we talk of paṭisallana or aloneness or solitude, we can look at it at various levels. Of course, in this talk we will look at paṭisallana by way of meditation. If you look through the suttas, sooner or later you will come across mention of the Buddha spending time early in the morning at dawn meditating. It's as if the Buddha is meditating to welcome the sun to shine upon our world again. It's just like the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree facing the east. Wakes up dawn. As the sun rises, getting brighter, it shines as warm, bright rays and light on the Buddha. We have the enlightened Buddha. So every morning at dawn the Buddha would meditate, send out his compassion to the world, and then see who needs help that day, and the Buddha will go out and help, even if it is only one person. So here again you see the idea of one. In Buddhism, numbers don't matter. This is, in other words, if you have a gathering, have a group, even if it's a small group, a few people, you teach the Dhamma, you learn the Dhamma together. Buddhism is not about groups, it's about individuals. You can even share with a friend. Then in the evening again, the Buddha meditates when the sun is setting, during twilight. And then he comes out of his meditation and then starts teaching the assembled monks or whoever have come to him. So twice a day the Buddha practices solitude, paṭisallana. It is a kind of narrow meaning of it. The broader meaning simply means kind of solitude of the body, of the mind, and also solitude meaning being away from, being all alone by yourself, being liberated from the defilements or the hindrances. Right? So whenever we sit down to meditate, we are practicing paṭisallana. It can be anywhere. Okay? I mean, paṭisallana may refer to a place, a quiet place, peaceful place, beautiful place, ideal place. But it can also be wherever you are, you just sit quietly and you're at peace with yourself. So it begins with the solitude of the body. Solitude of the body means you sit quietly in meditation, try to get your body calm and still, so we sit comfortably in a relaxed way. We sit comfortably, whether on a chair, on the floor, or someplace in the jungle. It could be anywhere safe and comfortable. And the idea is to be relaxed, comfortable, so that we don't have to worry about the body, or we don't have to think about the body anymore. We keep it comfortable, relaxed, and just let go of the body, renounce the body for a while. When we say renounce the body, we mean to simply let go of the 5 senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Just let it be for a while. So we just prepare ourselves, in other words, to pay our full attention to the mind. So this is the second stage. We watch the mind, look at our thoughts, we gently let go of our thoughts, try to free the mind of thoughts. So this is the second level of meditating, if you like, meditation, or second level of paṭisallana, second level of solitude. Now, these 2 practices are very interesting because we have the term kaya bhavana and citta bhavana. Okay? Kaya bhavana means cultivation of the body. Again, here you have a broad meaning of kaya bhavana, cultivation of the body. We can say cultivation of the body begins with practice of the precepts, cultivating moral virtue. The idea of cultivating moral virtue is to make sure that our body and speech are not in conflict with our meditation. If we break the precepts, for example, we kill, steal, commit sexual misconduct, we lie, or we get drunk, it's very difficult to meditate. So the 5 precepts prepare our body, keeping it healthy, keeping it kind of safe and comfortable, free of guilt, free of remorse, and our speech also. So you find these are the first 4 precepts actually. Right? The first 3 precepts deal with the body: not to kill, not to steal, not to commit sexual misconduct. And then the 4th precept is about our speech, keeping our speech kind of correct, proper, even observing silence just to prepare ourselves for meditation. And the 5th precept is about not polluting our minds, not clouding up our minds, not getting intoxicated, because if you're intoxicated, it's just possible to meditate. So the 5 precepts is to help us prepare ourselves for meditation. It also helps us to live a happy daily life also. Keeping the precepts in themselves are good, meritorious, they bring happiness to us sooner or later. So kaya bhavana, cultivation of the body, can mean that. And it also means to sit quietly, calmly, so that we can focus, gradually, progressively focus our minds on, say, the breath. The breath also is part of the body. If you look at the Satipatthana Sutta, the breath is one of the contemplation of the body, kaya nupassana. So we just go on watching the breath, we are cultivating the body. And as we do that, we become more and more peaceful, and slowly we just let go of the 5 mental hindrances. And thus we focus our minds fully on the breath. That's one way of looking at it. That is Kaya Bhavana. So Kaya Bhavana leads to samatha, some level of samadhi. Now in the commentaries, however, they generally take Kaya Bhavana to mean cultivation of insight, vipassana actually. So it's a bit difficult to interpret it that way. So we don't have to follow exactly what the commentaries say, because even commentaries sometimes the opinions of the commentators. So we should take the suttas as the primary source of our understanding of the Dharma. So once the body is cultivated, in other words, we keep on, say, watching the breath, and then slowly we become more focused, letting go of the 5 mental hindrances. Then we get mentally focused, and we are ready for mental cultivation, Citta Bhavana. Citta Bhavana, technically speaking, refers to the cultivation of jhana. Jhana means we have transcended all our physical senses, we have transcended our body, we have forgotten about our body completely, we are pure mind, enjoying the peace, joy of the pure mind, the mind just as it is. Of course, not many of us today can cultivate jhana or dhyana. It doesn't matter. We should not feel at a loss or upset just because we cannot attain jhana. We often hear monks talking about jhana, a lot of people talking about jhana, and most of them have not attained jhana anyway. So it doesn't really matter if we cannot attain jhana, but remember, it is possible. It's a beautiful experience. It is described in many places in the suttas. Maybe we might even attain glimpses of dhyana, we might not even know this, right? Like if we listen to really beautiful music, very focused and calm, we are doing our work, we're really involved with our work, even something as simple as washing dishes, if you're happily doing it. Maybe you're translating suttas, and very happily doing it, reading suttas, meditating, or even doing your puja. There's a moment of wonderful peace, where you totally lose your sense of self. You're simply joyful in the moment. That might be a taste of jhana. On the other hand, even if we do not get a taste of jhana, it's okay. You are mindful, you are keeping focus, and you feel very peaceful. Even then, you can still feel a deep sense of profound joy, great joy, and peace. And that is good enough. Just keep it going as long as you can enjoy it, and then you have cultivated your mind to that extent. So that is Citta Bhavana, mental cultivation, cultivation of the mind in simple terms. So the two they help each other. So the more you are able to cultivate your mind, the easier for you to cultivate the body. The more you cultivate the body, the higher level your mind goes to in meditation. So they kind of help each other. So you have, of course, you can go a little further in mental cultivation. When you come out of your peaceful state, whether it's jhana or some very simple focused state, then you reflect, say, this very wonderful peaceful state I've experienced, this joy I'm experiencing or have experienced, is mind-made. This is in the Attaka Nagara Sutta. What is mind-made is impermanent, unsatisfactory, no self. You go reflecting like that. Read up suttas which talk about 3 characteristics, for example. So in other words, when you come out of your meditation, you reflect that way. Yeah? So that is also part of your Citta Bhavana, mental cultivation. So this is how I understand the way the suttas explain it. As I said again in the commentaries, they tend to take Chitta Bhavana as samatha, which I find to be quite strange. So, Kaya Bhavana, cultivation of the body, is to calm your body, leading to samatha. Cultivation of the mind is kind of to bring the mind to such a focus point, you are able to reflect on the three characteristics, or simply on impermanence, if you like. Now, in study of the suttas, sometimes we should not be too concerned with the certain interpretation of terms. For example, in this case, we can still accept the commentary's explanation of Kaya Bhavana as vipassana. In other words, we reflect on the body's impermanence and so on. If you are inclined to feel that, to reflect that way, and it helps you, by all means do it. And then when you do your Chitta Bhavana, you get very focused, even jhana. And I mean, this approach is fine too. Whatever you're comfortable with, use that helpful concept or idea, and when you meditate, you let go of all these ideas, you just do your meditation. There's no need to quarrel or be upset about all these ideas. Each of us have our own way of using these ideas to help us practice. Right? Of course, one interesting way, we can ask people, how do you use this kind of ideas to help your practice? Maybe there's something we can learn from them. So that's a bit of introduction to our study today, because today's study talks about solitude in a sense of a balanced practice, about samatha vipassana. So let's look at the sutta now and see what we can learn from it. Okay, the sutta translation starts on page 63. The discourse on solitude, IT 45. This was spoken by the Blessed One, spoken by the Arahat, as heard by me. Now here me is the hunchback lady, Kujuttara, Uttara, the hunchback. And remember, she's the servant or the slave of Queen Samavati, who goes back and forth between the monastery and the palace, bringing the Dharma to the palace. Bhikshus, you must dwell enjoying solitude, delighting in solitude, inwardly intent on mental calm, not neglecting meditation, accomplish in insight, frequenting empty places. And these are very simple sentences, so I've given the Pali also on the right hand side. The first line, the Pali reads, paṭisallana rama bhikkhave viharata. Bhikshus, you must dwell enjoying solitude. Or simply, bhikshus, enjoy, or rather practice and enjoy solitude. Or practice the joy of solitude. Different ways of translating. Then second line, paṭisallana rata. Rata means to delight. This is a neutral term that can be, depending on the context, it can be good, it can be bad. Here the context is a good context. Paṭisallana rata, delighting in solitude. Ajatang ceto samatan anuyutta. Ajatang means yourself. Inwardly, right? Intent, anuyata, intent, devoted to. Intent on mental calm. Ceto, samatha. Ceto means mind, samatha means calm. Inwardly intent on mental calm. Anirakata jhana vipassanaya samanagata. Now, anirakata is one of those tricky words which is kind of discussed in detail in the introductory notes here. So, anirakata here means not neglecting. Now, jhana here is used in the sense of simply meditation. It doesn't refer to any kind of meditation, not jhana, but simply meditation. This is one of the meanings of jhana, a general meaning. Then you have a specific meaning, meaning mental absorption. Vipassanaya, of course, the insight. Samanagata, accomplish. Not neglecting meditation, becoming accomplished in insight, in other words, perfecting your wisdom. Bruheta, sunyagaranang. Bruheta means frequenting. Be someone who frequents or likes to go to empty places. Sunyagaran. Sunyagaranang. Sunya agara. You pick up the word sunya, agara. Sunya means empty. Agara usually translates building. But here it's used broadly. It simply means a place where you go to, a place where you use for your meditation. So it can simply mean, from what I understand, even a space anywhere that you feel comfortable, you use, and use for meditation. Of course, if it's a sheltered place, like a little hut, a big building, small building, doesn't matter. Sunyagara, empty place. Frequenting empty places. So look at the sentence again. Bhikshus, you must dwell enjoying solitude. We must learn to sometimes be by ourselves, be at peace with ourselves, just like the Buddha, sitting peacefully, meditating, reading the suttas, reflecting on the suttas, reading Dhamma books, things like that. Or just at peace with yourself, watching the sunset, looking at some beautiful flowers, or reflecting on the rain falling. And you might notice something peaceful, something wonderful there. You might connect to Dharma somehow with this kind of direct experience of reality around you. Delighting in solitude. In other words, you feel happy doing this. So maybe you can start off with a bit of loving kindness, or some kind of happy meditation. Inwardly intent on mental calm. The purpose is to attain this inner calmness, inner peace. Not neglecting meditation, accomplish in insight. So here you see two words, calm and insight. They kind of go together. You practice your meditation to get calmness, and you use the calmness to cultivate or to gain wisdom, insight. Frequenting empty places. So you do this regularly, finding a suitable place to meditate. Then the next verse says, verse 3, for those who dwell enjoying solitude, delighting in solitude, inwardly intent on mental calm, not neglecting meditation, accomplish in insight, frequenting empty places, one of two fruits is expected, either direct knowledge here and now, or non-return, if there is some trace of clinging. There are actually two passages here, 3 and 4. Again, you've got Pali on the right hand side. Paṭisallana ramanam bhikkhave viharatang. For those who dwell enjoying solitude. Paṭisallana ratanang. This is a plural form, okay? These are same lines as the first verse I read just now. So now the context is slightly different. Delighting in solitude. Paṭisallana ratanang. In ajatang ceto samatang anuyutanang. Inwardly intent on mental calm. Right? So this is all plural. Now earlier, the first verse is addressed to individuals. Now this second verse is kind of plural. Right? Anyone can do it, in other words. Anirakata jananang vipassanaya samanagatanang. Not neglecting meditation, accomplish in insight. Ruhetanang sunyagaranang. Frequenting empty places. This sentence, the whole verse actually is the same as the first verse, only this second verse are all in the plural. Then comes the benefit of the meditation. This is verse 4. Dvinang, dvinang means two. Phalanang, fruits, result, benefits. Dvinang phalanang. Anyatarang. Anyatarang means one or other, a certain. Palang. Patikangkang. Patikangkang is to be expected. To be expected. One of two fruits is to be expected. Ditteva dhamme anya. Ditteva. Ditta means to see. So we take ditteva as idiomatic. So seeing this here and now. You can see this right here, right now. Ditteva dhamme. Here and now. Anya is the simplest form of knowledge. Anya, no? Anya, panya, sanya, vinyana, all these are words with the root from nya, to know. Here anya is a specific term referring to the liberating knowledge of the Arhat. So whenever you have anya, you know it's the Arhat's wisdom. As you know, Kundanya was the first Arhat after the Buddha. So when he became enlightened, the Buddha called him Anya Kundanya or Anyata Kundanya. Kundanya who knows. So Anya here is the Arhat's knowledge, liberating knowledge. So here the Buddha says if you practice solitude and you do your meditation in this proper way, you become an Arhat. Of course, it's talking to the monks, but even lay people, if you do this properly, there is a chance that you may get Arhathood. But there's something else. Satiwa. Or if there is, wa is sati. Okay? Wa meaning or. And wa is always used at the end. Okay? In other words, wa never appears in front, so it's following a word. Satiwa. Or if there is, sati, there is. Upadi sesa. Upadi, let's look at the easy word, sesa. Sese, here the Pali word sese. The stem form is sesa. Sesa means remains, residue, trace. Upadi. Here we can translate as clinging. From upada, upada comes from the same root as upadana, clinging. Okay? If there's any clinging or trace of clinging, residue of clinging, some bit of clinging, anagamita. Anagamita means non-return. Non-return. Okay? So, in other words, if you totally let go of all thoughts, of all the fetters, then you attain Arahathood. So the Arahat has broken all the 10 fetters, right? The 10 fetters, number 1 is the fetter of self-identity view. Number 2 is doubt. Number 3 is attachment to rituals and vows. These are called the 3 fetters, right? So if you break these 3 fetters, then you become a stream winner. Then you have two more fetters. You have sensual pleasure and you have ill will, right? Now, so if you overcome a bit more of this, it's also 2 of the 3 unwholesome roots, then you become a once returner. There's one more life to go. So in other words, you overcome a bit of sensual desire. So after that, if you break all the 5 fetters, you become a non-returner. Okay? So here, the non-returner, in other words, has broken all the 5 fetters, but he has not, because a little bit of clinging here, the 5 higher fetters are still not broken. What are the 5 higher fetters? Desire for form existence, jhana kind of existence, maybe desire to be reborn in the jhana world, desire for formless existence, to be reborn in the higher realms of formlessness. Then after that is already 7, right? Number 8 is conceit, right? You have this. Only an Arhat does not conceit, right? Conceit meaning we measure ourselves against others. You might even think, for example, oh, I know more Dhamma than this person, I know more suttas than this person. For example, that is a bit of conceit. It's not exactly bad, but it is not good either. So conceit is a kind of measuring, right? And then you have something very interesting. It's called uddhacca, restlessness, right? And this is probably the one that is troubling the meditator. When he has uddhacca, in other words, restlessness, he will not attain arhathood. But he will not fall away. He will attain non-return. Uddhacca is a very interesting term, restlessness. Before, let me just go on to number 10. The 10th factor is ignorance, right? Ignorance of not understanding the Four Noble Truths and so on. So I think that the key factor here which troubles the meditator, preventing a meditator from attaining arhathood right away, is because maybe he's thinking about something, he's attached to certain teachings, or maybe he's thinking about something. So here, sometimes it is called dhammudacca, okay? Dhamma uddhacca, dhammudacca, okay? Restlessness in Dhamma, or Dhamma restlessness. Here, my understanding is Dhamma has got two senses, at least. One, it simply means mental state, and the second meaning is the teaching. Right? There are some interesting cases in the suttas. For example, one of the most famous cases I can remember is that of Pingiya or Pingiyani. If you look at the Sutta Nipata, the last chapter on the 16 youths, Bawari's students, 16 of them who came to see the Buddha and ask questions. The last questioner is called Pingiya. In fact, he's a very old person. He's kind of 100 over years old, 120, I think. But he's still called a youth, Manava, because he's a Brahmin. And so he asked the Buddha for teachings. But he's old and he's infirm, so he's a bit weak, maybe not well. So he couldn't really focus well. He couldn't get any attainment. But he was determined. He told the Buddha, please teach me again. And the Buddha went on teaching. And he became a non-returner. Whereas his 1,000 students became arahats. And he became a non-returner. Why is that? Because while he was listening to the Buddha teaching him, he was thinking of his teacher. Right? He was thinking of Bawari. He was saying, oh, if only my teacher was here and listening to all this wonderful teaching, he will benefit. So he was there's a slight attachment. There's something good, but slight attachment. In other words, he was slightly distracted. So we can also be distracted by something good, as it were. Nothing serious here, but there is still a bit of desire. So you know, if you have a bit of desire, you will not be an arahat in this case. So he became a non-returner. I mean, that's only one more step to arahathood anyway. So there you have a famous case of Pingiya, who could have been an arahat, but because he thought of his teacher, he was attached to his teacher, he became a non-returner. Or in some other cases, a person may become a non-returner by thinking of the Dharma itself. You suddenly thought about the Dharma. Oh, what did the Buddha say in this sutta? At that moment, this thought came to you. That is why we often advise, when we meditate, to forget about suttas, forget about the Dharma, especially Abhidharma. Let go of all thinking about all these teachings. You are there just to meditate, to clear your mind of thoughts and views. Right? So this is a very interesting explanation of how people, meditators, attain non-return, but just short of arahathood. So this is the meaning of upadisesa. It's a bit of a trace of clinging. This kind of a gentle kind of clinging. Okay? There is another use of this word upadisesa, which has a different meaning. So in other words, you cannot translate Pali word simply by word. You must see the context, right? And this is where upadisesa appears in one of those late terms, in terms of describing the Buddha's nirvana. Okay? There are two terms. Okay, one is what's called anupadisesa nibbana dhatu. Anupadisesa nibbana dhatu. Okay, nibbana of course means nirvana. Dhatu here means element. Okay, Dhatu sometimes translated as world. Here it has no specific meaning. It's just trying to remind us that it's just a concept. Nirvana we are taking as a concept. Nirvana Dhatu. We can translate it as Nirvana if you like, but usually because the word Dhatu is there, we translate as Nirvana element, right? It's just to remind us that it's just an idea in our minds, because you can't really talk about Nirvana. Then you have Anupadi Sesa. Na in front meaning not, no, and then Upadi. No Upadi, or no, you can translate clinging if you like, Sesa, remaining, or traces of it. But if you apply it to the Buddha who has attained Nirvana, we can say, in this case you can say no clinging, no trace of clinging anymore. There's attained Nirvana with no more trace of clinging. It sounds alright. But there is another term, second term, Sa Upadi Sesa Nibbana Dhatu. This describes the Buddha and all Arahats when they're still alive. The Arahat who is alive, and what's the moment someone attains Arahathood? Okay? By still alive. The Buddha attains Arahathood and then he lives for 45 years. So during that 45 years, he's said to be in the state of Sa Upadi Sesa Nibbana Dhatu. He's living in the Nibbana element with, this is where we use the word Upadi Sesa, with traces of Upadi. Okay? So here, during the 45 years of the Buddha's lifetime as an Arahat, he is in the Nirvana element with some remnants, some trace of Upadi. Now we can't translate Upadi as clinging here. It doesn't sound very right, because as we know, Arahats do not have any clinging, right? So we can say, oh, the Buddha still has some clinging, while he is alive, right? It doesn't sound right. In fact, if you look at the commentaries, it tells us actually here Upadi refers to the 5 aggregates. The 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness. So you have 2 kinds of 5 aggregates. The first kind is like what you and I have who are unawakened. We have the aggregates of clinging. We cling to our body. We say, oh, I like my body, I want to make it healthy, make it look beautiful. My body is me, things like that. We have all these ideas. And then the feelings, we kind of, we are concerned about our feelings, perception, formation, consciousness. Whereas in the case of the Buddha and the Arahats, their 5 aggregates are said to be non-clinging. The word clinging is not there, it's just 5 aggregates, that's all. Right? You find mention of these 2 kinds of 5 aggregates in the Dve-kanda Sutta. Dve-kanda Sutta, okay? Which is the, I think it's the second sutta in volume SD17, in case you want to look it up. So here, we see this, the Buddha still alive for 45 years, so in other words, he's in Nirvana, but this Nirvana has these traces, these remains of the 5 aggregates, plus karma if you like. Then once he passes away, all these aggregates are gone. There's no more reborn, right? So because of this, you find in the certain commentaries like the Digha Nikaya commentary and so on, the first kind of Nirvana, that is Nirvana with remains, or Nirvana with traces of clinging, is called Kilesa Nibbana. Kilesa Nibbana. The Nirvana or extinction of defilements. All defilements are uprooted, destroyed for the Arahats and the Buddha. The second Nirvana, the Anupadisasa Nibbana, the final Nirvana, is called Kanda Nibbana. The Nirvana, the extinction of the aggregates. Even the aggregates also are normal. Body, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness, all are normal there. Now again here, this is just as far as language goes, because where the Arahat or the Buddha is concerned, we cannot say anything about him when he has passed away. We cannot say the Buddha or the Arhat who has passed away exists, does not exist, neither exists nor not exists, or both exist, not exist. Just nothing to talk about. Just like fire has gone out. It doesn't make any sense to talk about fire when it's not there. When we say fire, it's just a concept in our own heads anyway. So that's something we're going to do deeper there. You can read about this in the unanswered questions, an essay on this, some of this problem with language. Okay? All right, so that's a very interesting discussion on the upadisesa. You might have to rewind about this recording to hear this again. It's quite profound, very interesting. Or you can read this up in the introduction here, and you find there are cross references. You can read up it elsewhere also, because we have discussed this very important term elsewhere too. And then the Buddha concludes with a verse, and this is the Udana, okay? Here, the Blessed One spoke on this matter, then he said this: the discerning whose hearts are calm and who are mindful meditators, they rightly see things with insight, free from regard for sense pleasures. Ye santa citta nipaka sati manto ca jayino samma dhammang vipassanti kamesu anapekino. The discerning, that means you're mindful, watching, carefully observing, reflecting, with calm hearts. The mind is at peace. And they who are mindful meditators all the time, watching, observing, the mind is focused, can rightly see things with insight, right? Reflecting on impermanence, whatever comes and goes, not letting the mind go astray. In other words, free from the five senses. The mind is not distracted even by thoughts. Next verse, section 7. Being those delighting in diligence, appamada rata santa, seeing danger in heedlessness, pamade bhaya dasino, they are incapable of falling away, abhapa parihanaya, they are truly in nirvana's presence, nibbana seva santiketi. Right? So if you enjoy making effort, diligence is said to be the key single dharma. It's important to us. Don't give up. Effort. Diligence also means to be mindful, careful. It includes moral virtue, it includes wisdom, diligence. Seeing danger in heedlessness, right? Being very careful not to be the precepts are concerned, where mindfulness is concerned, we are very careful not to even make a small mistake. We try our best to be mindful. So if we do that, then we will never fall away, we will never fail. Or if we do have difficulties, we always know what to do. We will come back and continue. Then we are in the presence of nirvana. In other words, we are on the way to be awakened, at least streamlining onwards. This too is a matter spoken by the Blessed One, thus it was heard by me. Right, so the sutta closes there. Right, so we've come to the end of this. I just have a few short points I'd like to mention. When we talk about meditation, we also talk about joy. It's very important to experience joy in meditation. So the commentaries sometimes explain jhana as different kinds of joy. For example, this is from the Majjhima Nikaya commentary, MA, volume 3, page 171. So jhana or dhyana is sometimes called the joy of renunciation, nikkhamma sukha. Why is it called the joy of renunciation? Because it turns us away from sensual pleasures. So once you experience jhana, you find you're not so keen on physical pleasure anymore. They're not so fun anyway. It's just like we are used to eating good food, and then your cat one day brings in a dead rat or dead bird and offers it to you, and you don't eat it, right? So this is another experience is really high level of joy, jhana. You do not want to go down to a lower level anymore in a natural way. So it's called a joy of renunciation. Jhana is also called the joy of solitude, praviveka sukha. So here, it is so called because this joy makes us independent of the group, of the crowd. We're not bothered if people don't talk with us, or sometimes you find you're a meditator or you know Dhamma or you know Suttas, people somehow might keep away. Maybe they feel, oh, you're boring, or maybe you might talk about some things, saying they're wrong, maybe they're not happy with you. It doesn't matter. Here it's also called the joy of solitude because it keeps away defilements. We are taken out of negative states. That's another meaning of the joy of solitude. It's also called the joy of peace, upasama sukha, because this bliss or this joy is used to calm and remove lust and the other negative roots. And then you have, this is the joy of self-awakening, sambodha sukha, because this joy brings us to the path to awakening. So this is what the commentaries talk about. Dhyana is joy. Okay? So these are some things for us to reflect on, to think about, and maybe inspire us to go on with our meditation. So we'll end here for today. So let us do a short reflection. Today's sutta reminds us of how to spend time with ourselves, to be at peace with ourselves, to enjoy solitude, just as the Buddha did under the Bodhi tree. Every time we sit alone, all by ourselves, we must remember the Buddha. That's what the Buddha does. Instead of feeling alone, we say, wow, this is a wonderful thing we're experiencing. This is what the Buddha himself did. So reflecting in this way, you see yourself heading in that direction, Buddha-wise. Paṭisallana or solitude also means meditation. So here the sutta is reminding us, this is the way of self-effort. We can do this. All we need is diligence. Put in the effort. Now reflecting in this way, we become awakened by ourselves. This is wonderful Dhamma. Reflecting in this way, we create very good mental karma. By the power of this karma, by the power of all the various good deeds we've been doing, keeping the precepts, practicing generosity, studying the Dharma, and various other good deeds, may we attain happiness in this life itself. May we be free from sickness. May we prosper. Above all, may we attain spiritual liberation, namely string winning, in this life itself. In this moment of peace too, let us share our loving kindness to all the beings around here, to all those who have taught us something useful, especially the Dharma. May they be well, may they be happy. And to our loved ones too, may they be well, may they be happy. And to those whom the Dharma have not touched, that they may see the joy of the Dharma and be awakened too. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.